Have you ever thought, man, I wish that I could get a little bit wider of a shot here, and then immediately after that, wish that you could zoom in as close as possible? Why don't all photographers just use one lens? The Sigma makes an 18 to 300 millimeter camera lens. That would cover 99% of people who want everything from architecture to bird spotting in their backyard. As wedding photographers, our day changes so quickly that having a lens with that kind of range, that should be irreplaceable. And at a price range of only $400 or so on Amazon, why isn't that camera lens, which would cover almost every situation possible, in every wedding photographer's bag? Well, it comes down to a few things that I think are pretty important, and that's image quality, aperture, of course, speed, accuracy. As wedding photographers, we cannot miss a shot. We need our gear to work 100% of the time. And that is why we invest so much money in lenses, because without a lens, your camera doesn't know what to record. If your lens doesn't focus correctly, you're going to have blurry photos. If you can't get the zoom range that you need, you're not going to be able to get the shots that you want. And so we kind of give up things with our camera lenses. And I think it's really important to invest a large part of your budget in good lenses, because without them, you're not going to create the photos that you want. Those super zooms may look really good on paper, but when you actually start to use them, you'll notice the softness, the vignetting. You'll see the focus issues, and you'll see that the background just doesn't become as blurry or out of focus as you want it to. But with these lenses that I have here, we have a few more of those situations covered, I think, than what that super zoom can do by itself. So check it out, stay tuned, and let me show you some of the best lenses that I think Canon has to offer. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got the lenses that we're going to be talking about out. On the left hand side is the 70 to 200 f2.8 IS Mark II. Right beside that is the 24 to 70 f2.8 Mark II. Moving on is the 85 millimeter 1.4 IS. This is probably my newest lens, the newest one to come out actually. The 35 millimeter f1.4 Mark II, and then on my camera is the old school 50 millimeter f1.4. I want to talk a little bit about each of these lenses, but we're going to start by talking about the zoom lenses, the 24 to 70 and the 70 to 200. Okay, guys. So first, I want to show you a little bit of a preview of what you can make with the 24 to 70. If you go to Lightroom, you can filter your library up here by metadata, and then you can choose what camera lens you want to see the images from. So I just chose everything I've rated 3 stars and above with the 24 to 70 f2.8, and that kind of gives you a little bit of a breakdown of exactly what shots you used with that camera lens. So you can see here I used the 24 to 70 mostly as a walk around lens. I haven't used it for a ton of weddings just because of that 2.8 maximum aperture kind of limits me a little bit here, but I'll just show you a few of my favorite shots that I've taken with that 24 to 70. Most of the ones I'll be showing you, or at least these here, were taken over in Italy on one of my vacations to the country there. So you can see it really is a razor sharp lens. It does a fantastic job at rendering colors. You can see a lot of really beautiful shots, at least that I think have been taken with this lens. And it's very versatile. You can use it, 24 is quite wide, while 70 is fairly tight, and because it is a constant aperture all the way through, you can get some really nice photos with it. So don't get me wrong, zoom lenses definitely have their place. But I do believe that primes are a little bit more useful for wedding photography and things that we shoot. So let's go back here to library, and let's go to the 70 to 200 f2.8. Okay, and we'll bring these down so we can get some more examples here. Now this lens I have used quite a lot more for portraits, for weddings, and everything in between. So I use it a lot for senior photos, for ceremony shots where the bride and groom might be a little bit farther away. I might need to crop in on them a little bit more. And because it does have a longer focal length, it really does a good job at blowing out the background and making sure that there's a lot of out of focus areas there that look really nice. So I really like the 7200. It's a great portrait lens as well. I used it quite a bit, especially at this wedding. where we were outside and kind of moving around a lot, so it was easier to get around. And that's not to say that you can't use it inside either. I used it inside here to capture, she had a great expression, to capture some of these people from across the room without being too intrusive. You set up your flash on one side, and then you're able to kind of sit back and capture the action as it happens. This was a really neat wedding that I did at a mud run, where right after they got done with the mud run, they got married. So it was nice to be able to run around real quick and take those shots that I needed. Alright guys, so now I want to talk to you a little bit about the prime lenses that I have here. So we'll be starting out with the 35mm f1.4L Mark II, and I've shot quite a bit with that in the last few months that I've had it, mostly engagements along with one wedding that I've used it at so far, so let's go and check it out. As you can see, it works really well, especially wide open here at an aperture of f1.4. You get really good separation with your subjects from the background, which is really what we're looking for. And I think the 35mm focal length, it creates a really natural kind of look to your photos. It's a little bit wider than what the human eye sees, but most of us will crop in and create really nice images. So here you can see a couple from an engagement session, just get nice and close together, that you can see the sharpness of the subject with the background blur back there. Stopping lenses down a little bit to f2, or in this case for some reason f2.2, helps to make sure that their entire body is sharp while the background is blurred. It helps to make sure that you aren't missing focus on like an eyelash or an eyebrow instead of their actual eyeball, which is really important. You always want to make sure that your main focus is on your subject's eyes and not something that's slightly in front of them or slightly behind them. That's why it's really important to make sure that all your lenses are calibrated appropriately to your camera. I'll just show you a couple more photos here from a few different engagement sessions that I've done. It works really well for family sessions too. Here we had a very energetic toddler who was running around while we were trying to shoot photos, and the couple's like, you know what, just document it. This is how she is. This is how we want to remember her. You know, we love this time in her life. So we finally got her to sit down, and we got some really nice smiles there. You can see she's so adorable in her little dress there. I had another engagement session here. This one was really fun, one that we did over in Rock Springs here in Illinois. Then we kind of went downtown and hung out over there too. So this 35mm, it's a very versatile lens. You can use it for a lot of things, and it works really well at capturing good detail. Okay, here we have a different catalog for 2019, and in here I have a couple engagement sessions where I used the 85mm f1.4. I kind of wanted to show you a few highlights from those. This lens is definitely my most, I'd say my favorite lens, my most popular lens, especially for portraits. It allows you to get a little bit farther back from your couples while still creating really great images. Especially again, if you stop it down to about f2 or so, you really make sure that you get all of the subjects in focus, but still can get a really blown out of focus background, which I think is what we're all looking for. The 85mm definitely to me is the most versatile. It's definitely my favorite lens that I use. So if anybody's looking for a really good portrait lens that you can get fairly cheap, the 85 1.8 from Canon is a really good option. Stop that down to f2 or so, and you're going to be able to create some beautiful images. When it comes to choosing the lens that's right for you, I think it's really important to remember that primes and zoom lenses definitely have pros and cons. With prime lenses, you're going to be changing your lens more often throughout the day. You'll be zooming with your feet as opposed to zooming with the ring, and sometimes it is a little bit more complicated to achieve those shots. You might mistime something. Let's say if you have the 85 on there, but all of a sudden you need something wide angle, you have to take 30 seconds to change your lens, and you could miss that action. Whereas with the 24-70, you'd be able to just turn the ring and you'd be fine with it. I do think it's important to be able to utilize both of these types of lenses, though. They definitely have their uses. The 70-200 is fantastic for ceremony shots, where you'll be running around through the aisles behind the scenes, shooting over people's heads. Having that extra range and that flexibility is really important. And then you can go to the back, zoom out, and you'll be able to capture a little bit more wide angle of a shot. So there isn't really a right answer when it comes to picking out which set of lenses is right for you. It takes playing around with them and rinsing them. I think is a really neat way of learning that lens to see if it'd be worth it for you to purchase in the future. The lenses that I carry on a wedding day is the 35mm, the 85mm, and then the 70 to 200mm. I think with those three lenses I can cover 99% of situations that might get thrown my way. I of course also carry the 50mm and the 24 to 70 in a bag in my car just in case something breaks or I need a backup lens for a second shoot or something like that. But having those lenses with you all the time will definitely get heavy. I think it's important to be able to carry as little as possible and still cover as many situations as you can. So when you're planning your wedding bag, just make sure that you can comfortably hold everything for extended periods of time, and that you have the confidence that you'll be able to capture whatever comes your way with whatever gear that you have on you.